There's been some talk recently about starting a regional police force for the entire Lower Mainland versus keeping Delta's municipal community police force separate. Do you think they should switch over, or do you think you should keep your own police force?
No, I think we should have one for a regional police force.
And do you know anything about the Northern Gateway Pipeline being built
Yes.
up in northern BC? Do you think it should be built?
Yes, it should be built, but our government has to be insured by it. Our government has to have insurances from all concerned that number one, it will not be owned by China, which it is slated to be turned over to, and number two, that any damage from leaks or anything will be fully 100% covered by the people whoever ends up operating it.
What is the most important issue in your riding? Or even just provincially, the one thing, so it will be a provincial election? Yeah.
Issues.
If there's something that you think is...
Okay. The party that tells me they're going to raise corporate tax, it used to be 24, now it's 11. That's why we have all the additional consumer taxes, etc. to try to cover that. Well, the corporation that's going to tell me they're going to raise corporate tax by at least 2% will get my vote.
Delta, as you may know, has one of the few municipal police forces. Most of the region has the RCMP just as a regional force.
Yes.
There's been talk of consolidating everything into one big Lower Mainland police force, so getting rid of the Delta one, and you guys would just get the same thing everyone else gets. Do you think that's a good idea or not?
I think sometimes that the municipal forces just add that extra comfort zone for people rather than being a large municipal police force or even provincial police force. But I like the Delta police force. It's nice to have that small community feeling, I guess.
And do you know anything about the Northern Gateway Pipeline that's getting
Yes.
built? Do you think it should be built?
No.
Any reason why?
Probably like every other eco-friendly person is you just don't worry about the spills and the effect it has on our environment.
What is the one thing a candidate could do to get you to vote for them out of all the issues?
Improvement in health and education, I think.
And then, what do you think is the most important issue in the upcoming election?
Most important issue I think is good for traffic rules, so traffic. So too much construction, traffic in the Surrey area. Delta Bridge is one, I think.
And have you heard anything about the pipeline that they're trying to build up in northern BC? It would carry oil from Alberta to northern BC.
Like a pipeline?
Yeah. They're thinking of building it. There's been concern about what would happen if all the oil spilled up there, because you have a lot of natural resources there. People do live up there. But at the same time, it would create a lot of jobs, thousands of jobs that BC, and an income that BC desperately needs. Do you think they should build the pipeline?
I think maybe not, because the natural environment, like the forest, some park, so damages park, some damage like the natural, like I think for tree park.
What do you think is the best way for any of the candidates here to convince voters to come out to the polls? Because only about 50% come out now.
Yeah, they need to talk to them, which is a heck of a lot of work, going door to door or somehow finding ways to meet people and talk to
There's a
them.
toll on the Portman Bridge and there's a toll on the Golden Ears Bridge.
Yeah.
But none of the other bridges in the region, as far as I'm aware, have any sort of toll. And
Yeah.
so anyone who is unlucky enough to have to cross those two bridges ends up paying a lot of money, or they go around, many of them through Delta, because your bridges aren't tolled,
Right,
to
yeah.
avoid them. Do you think that they should maybe toll more of the bridges less money to kind of stop the sort of weird flow of traffic where those two tolled bridges are avoided?
Yeah, I think that tolls are the best way to go as far as dealing with the traffic problems that we've got, but it's monstrously unfair right now just to toll two bridges. That's ridiculous. Like if they tolled all of the bridges, and they could do it small amounts, and they have the technology to keep track of who's using them, and then they could raise the money that way, and then people wouldn't be able to avoid them.
What do you think is the most important issue in this riding that if a candidate was willing to address it, they would get your vote?
Well, I have to say education because I'm a teacher. Education is
yeah.
my personal area. So that's the one I know the most about, and that's the one that I tend to have an eye on. I think that trust is a huge issue. That, my personal bias is that I don't really trust the current government, but I think any government that's been in power that long, you've got one group of people that's basically been in power for 12 years.
Yeah.
I think it's too long.
There's been talk about replacing the Delta Police with a regional police force. So sort of like everyone else gets the RCMP versus you guys have your own force.
Yes.
Do you think that's a good idea? Bad idea? Do you think you should keep the police force or switch over?
I think we should keep the police force.
Any reason why?
I think it's serving as well. I just don't support the idea of a regional police force. I don't think it costs more than it's worth doing. I think they learned their lessons.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about the Northern Gateway Pipeline?
Yes.
The one. Do you think it's a good idea?
No.
Bad idea? Why?
Too much impact on the environment, and I support the natives' view of it, going through their land. So I think ultimately they should have a big say in it.
And then, if you know, Delta, most of the region around here uses just the RCMP as its police force, other than Delta has its own police force, and so does Vancouver. There's been some talk about trying to consolidate kind of it all into one regional police force, probably the RCMP. Do you think Delta should keep its own police force or consolidate?
I believe Delta should keep their own police force. A reason behind that is if it becomes a regionalized police department, the response time in Delta is really good for the police department to show up to your house for a call. And I believe if they do go to regionalized department, that call response time will increase significantly. Delta is a smaller department, so a lot of the members do know a lot of the people that are in the area. And a lot of the police officers that work in Delta, they also know the significant area, the layout of the geographical layout of the area as well.
What is the number one thing a candidate could do to earn your vote?
Basically, what I would like to done is just, community events, be more active in your community. If somebody comes to you for help, have a certain guideline as to, or have a timeline. A lot of politicians, if you see, it takes forever to get a meeting with them. That's one thing that I would like to see is my candidate in Delta North be more community oriented.